Tonight, a scandal that shocked Victorian morality and ended in murder. The Blackheath poisonings.
Well, it seems I have my husband to myself.
Just look at what you've done to me, my darling.
Rubbish. You were like this on our wedding night. Your mother practically pushed you through the door.
Do you realise how dangerous this game is? For God's sake, we're all living in the same house.
The Blackheath poisonings, tonight at 9:50 on Anglia.
Oh, good heavens, what's that you've got there?
That's my new electric ceramic hob hooker. Oh, and you wash this, I bet you like this, look.
Turn the knob on and
whoop, that's the halogen. See? Just comes up straight away and starts cooking.
Is it very easy to clean or...
Oh, yeah. Just wiped over and it's clean.
It's wonderful, isn't it? I can even make my face up in that.
For all your creature comforts, Cook Electric.
Nature suggested. Timotei perfected. New Timotei minerals. Massage to invigorate. Giving hair new movement. New volume. Timotei Mineral Shampoo. Suggested by nature, perfected by Timotei.
At 4 o'clock, it was time for tea. There was bread and butter. There was always a fresh egg apiece. And Mum used to bake a pie. If there's one thing she's taught me to do, it was how to make a proper cup of tea. I drink Yorkshire tea nowadays.
Yorkshire tea, like tea used to be.
In the future, your child will download his homework onto his school computer. You'll want more say in how your children are taught. From this Sunday, the Sunday Times, in 3 weekly guides, helps you find the school best equipped for their future. Explains the national curriculum, offers savings on new technology and bursaries to help schools. Help your child's future now with the paper you'd expect to do its homework. The Sunday Times is the Sunday papers.
You may be looking for a car that's small and practical. But you still want a car that feels luxurious. Well, now you've found it, because while the Clio is certainly small, it's perfectly formed. The Renault Clio.
When it comes to the acid test, Andrew's antacid tablets help relieve heartburn, acid indigestion, and trapped wind.
Suck 'em and see.
We could tell you that a Radiant B mineral bath makes your bathroom feel like a spa, and that the warm waters of your bath comfort aching muscles and nagging pains. But the best way to appreciate a Radiant B mineral bath is to try one.
Potty training. What should we wear? Nappies or pants? In pants you feel grown up, but accidents make you feel small again. Nappies are safe, but you can't wait to be out of them.
Now the perfect answer. New Pampers Trainers. A new idea in training pants. They're absorbent and help protect against accidents. And come off quickly and cleanly when necessary, but look and feel more like grown-up pants. You can even pull them up and down, and up again.
Big boy pants!
New Pampers Trainers for boys and girls for happier potty training.
Smarty pants.
So you think there's no decent football on ITV, right? Wrong! Soon, major European action with Arsenal, Rangers, Manchester United and Aston Villa. The Coca-Cola Cup and final. The First Division exclusively live and the World Cup too. And remember, football is free on ITV.
It defies belief. This is incredible.
And our season kicks off at 2:35 tomorrow with live coverage of the First Division match between Southend United and Nottingham Forest. You're watching Anglia Television. It's approaching 4:40. Time for the news and sport from ITN.
Hello, this is ITN's News and Sports Results Service.
Later on, we'll have the full classified football results.
Today's main news. The row over Bosnian evacuees continues as a British Mercy team flies in to Sarajevo.
And in sport, Mickey Quinn gets a hat-trick as Arsenal crash to Coventry.
A British medical team flew to Sarajevo today amid the continuing row over who should be evacuated. The Overseas Development Minister, Baroness Chalker, has demanded an end to the public confrontation between the doctors and the United Nations. One of the children still not on the evacuation list is a critically ill girl with only days to live.
A mother's words of comfort are not enough for her dying child. 4-year-old Belma's meningitis is worsening. She has at best only a few days of life left. She can no longer speak, her mouth is almost locked open. Ziba Shalaka explained how she fled with her child after the Chetniks attacked her village. Belma contracted hepatitis while trapped outside Sarajevo. The lack of drugs meant that Belma then developed meningitis. She's been in this ward for 15 pain-filled days. Her doctor says she only has 2 or 3 days left. The man who heads the UN's Medical Evacuation Committee finally flew into Sarajevo today. Dr. Peo said he didn't even know about Belma's case, and anyway, patients are only given a number, not a name, when their cases are considered. He passionately defended his committee's procedures and attacked many governments over their attitudes this week, saying one in particular had threatened him, but he wouldn't name the country.
I hate the supermarket attitude. I call it this way because I don't think Sarajevo is a supermarket where government can come and pick up the cases they want.
But the doctor said in response to questions about Belma that she was a deserving case. He saw no reason why she shouldn't be taken out on the British Mercy flight tomorrow. Belma's mother and the medical staff here are praying it won't be too late. David Chater, ITN, Sarajevo.
The British team that flew to Sarajevo today will try to find the patients who are to be evacuated to Britain. They'll also be able to make a first-hand assessment of the situation on the ground.
En route for Sarajevo to get more children onto that UN list. A 3-man medical team led by Tony Redmond, who's in charge of Operation Irma. All those involved in organising the mission are all too well aware of the controversy that surrounds the list and tread a diplomatic tightrope when trying to get their feelings across.
I've always thought throughout this exercise that the difficult decisions would be to decide who should come and who should go, and I don't think that's my decision. What I would like to do is simply discuss it with the doctors on the ground and accept their opinion.
The crews who daily pilot relief flights into Sarajevo are able to be less reserved.
Well, the way I see it, it should be children, and we should just look after the kids, because they're the only ones that don't know what they're doing in this game.
I'm very pleased that that's been brought out into the open. Things would have been very embarrassing had 20 adults step off the aeroplane back home and everything for the children.
And as the chartered Tupolev hospital plane waits on the tarmac at Ancona, ready to receive whoever does come out, the nurses and doctors work to prepare a field hospital. It's here the injured will be brought on arrival prior to being flown to Britain. And whoever drew up the lists of equipment and needs appears to have done so with children in mind. A medical team will leave here early tomorrow morning for Sarajevo. They'll then be on standby to bring out the injured as soon as conditions on the ground permit. James Forlong, ITN, Ancona.
Bosnian Serb troops have now nearly completed their withdrawal from key mountain positions overlooking Sarajevo. The deadline for the descent from Mount Igman passed just over an hour ago. Throughout the day, Serb fighters pulled back to positions agreed by the United Nations. As they went, they destroyed everything of possible military value. The withdrawal should mean that peace talks can resume in Geneva. Here, Dorset's Assistant Chief Constable has accused the IRA of gambling with holidaymakers' lives. The IRA have now admitted yesterday's bomb attacks in Bournemouth. They said holiday resorts would remain a priority target.
The barriers were coming down in Bournemouth today and a start was being made to repair the damage caused by yesterday's IRA bombs. Police admitted there'd been a lucky escape at the pier. It's now known there were 2 incendiary devices packed next to each other in a black bin liner. The larger device did not explode and fell through onto a girder below the pier where it was defused. Navy divers today searched the seabed below the pier which might have been blown apart. Instead, it's now open to the public again.
We've spent the day sifting through the evidence, looking at all the evidence that we have got, and these people will not get away with it. We poured resources into the town centre.
Anti-terrorist officers are now sifting through hundreds of video recordings taken from town centre security cameras. Further searches have been made in shops damaged by yesterday's firebombs. At least one will be holding a sale of fire-damaged goods tomorrow.
An IRA bomb has gone off in Londonderry just hours before a big loyalist parade was due to pass nearby. And another bomb outside a restaurant in Belfast injured 5 policemen and 4 customers last night. The IUC said several other people were very lucky to escape serious injury.
There was a warning, but the police said they had just 5 minutes. Precious little time to clear the restaurant and bar complex in South Belfast before the stolen Red Sierra blew up. 250 pounds of explosives, hurling it 40 yards.
Our police officers were here to evacuate people, to prevent injury to those people, and through being here and being so close to the point where this bomb was detonated, sustained quite serious injuries themselves.
The IRA maintained the warning was given sooner, but it's all part of the deadly cat-and-mouse game that goes on. A game which left 5 policemen and 4 civilians injured at the scene, 2 with serious burns. One injured woman said she overheard the police radio message identifying the car.
And the next minute they said it was in a Red Sierra, and we looked around, the Red Sierra was right beside us, and with no way of getting out, and that was it.
The police car behind us here was on fire, and it was then I noticed the policeman was still in it. So I run down, the doors were blown open, and I just got him by the top of the shoulders and pulled him out of the car.
2 more bombs went off in the northwest of the province. In Strabane, a bank was extensively damaged after the police evacuated the area. And in Londonderry, a small but strategically placed device exploded just hours before the annual Apprentice Boys march through the city. But no one was hurt. And this afternoon, the march passed off without incident. Eric McInnes, ITN Northern Ireland.
The Princess of Wales was confronted with anti-nuclear demonstrators today when she visited Britain's first Trident submarine. The Princess, appropriately wearing navy blue and white, was special guest at the commissioning ceremony of HMS Vanguard. The £450 million submarine, built at the VSEL yard in Cumbria, is the first of a fleet of 4. Anti-nuclear demonstrators held a demonstration during the ceremony and flew a huge ban the bomb flag from a nearby bridge. The famous Cheshire Beagle hunt is continuing its search for beagle hounds stolen from its kennels. The Animal Liberation Front has said it took the dogs. The hunt has offered a £5,000 reward.
The Cheshire Beagle pack was about to begin the cub hunting season when the ALF struck. 10 hounds were stolen, 2 of them just puppies. The Animal Liberationists stole the beagles from this kennel in an early morning raid, smashing through a reinforced window and cutting telephone wires. Hunt saboteur Michael Hill died 2 years ago when he fell from a Cheshire Beagle hunt vehicle. The hunt think this theft is revenge.
I don't understand how they can do it to retaliate for what was, after all, just a big mistake. Why take it out on the dogs?
The hunt is offering a £5,000 reward for the beagle's recovery. They say the thieves are terrorists.
I think the British public has got to realise it has nothing to do with the love of animals. These people are just terrorists. There's no other word for it.
The Cheshire Beagle hunt have moved their remaining hounds from this farm to a secret location to foil the dog nappers. Yet they fear the terrorists will return. Howell Jones, ITN, Cheshire.
Now it's time for the sport, and here's David Bobin.
Well, the new football season in England got underway today in heat-wave conditions. Shirt-sleeve crowds across the country saw plenty of excitement, including the first Premier League goal of the day. That was scored by Everton's Peter Beagrie. After 10 minutes of the first half against Southampton at the Dell, John Ebrell added a second for Everton. And the first hat-trick of the season was at Highbury, but not for the Gunners. Arsenal went a goal down after 34 minutes of their game against Coventry. Mick Quinn with a penalty, the scorer. He added 2 more in the second half to make it a superb hat-trick. Sheffield Wednesday's Carlton Palmer made the wrong sort of start. The England midfielder was sent off at Liverpool after fouling Jan Molby in the 12th minute of the first half. And to make matters worse, Nigel Clough scored in the first half to mark his Liverpool debut, and then he added number 2 in the second half. Spurs striker Teddy Sheringham put Spurs in front at St James Park against Kevin Keegan's Newcastle United. And QPR's Les Ferdinand scored a 44th minute equaliser at Villa Park after Dalian Atkinson had put Villa in front. Well, in the First Division, New Boys Stoke were given a tough welcome at home by Millwall. In the second half, American striker Bruce Murray scored from close range to put the visitors 2-1 up, and that's the way it stayed. Elsewhere, Derby beat Sunderland 5-0. And in Scotland, Rangers are of course the red-hot favourites to win the title again, but they didn't have an easy time of it today. Richard Gough equalising for them after St Johnstone took a shock first-half lead, Rangers winning 2-1. Well, Linford Christie eased into the quarter-finals of the 100 metres at the World Athletics Championships in Stuttgart today. His great rival Carl Lewis was also impressive. Christie, the Olympic champion, powered his way to victory in his opening heat, recording a time of 10.24 seconds. Lewis recovered from a poor start to win his heat in a slightly faster time, but they'll both be watching the United States champion Andre Kaysen, who was the fastest qualifier. In rugby union, Australia comfortably beat South Africa 28-20 in Brisbane to level a three-match test series, and all eyes will now be on the final test in Sydney next Saturday.
The Australians were looking for revenge and test survival. They suffered a shock defeat against the Springboks a fortnight ago in Sydney. But an Australian mistake provided South Africa's Joel Stransky with the opportunity to run for the line and take the lead. But then the world champions turned on the pressure. Jason Little danced through defenders to score one of his 2 tries. The South African side began to lose discipline. Winger James Small was sent off for dissent, the first Springbok to be dismissed in international rugby. The visitors scored a consolation try in the dying seconds to take their final score to 20 against the Australians' 28. Attention will now be focused on the decider in Sydney next weekend.
Alain Prost is in pole position for tomorrow's Hungarian Grand Prix. Britain's Damon Hill will be alongside him on the front row. Prost secured his 10th pole of the season, qualifying just a fifth of a second faster than his Williams-Renault teammate. He was pushing for an even better time when he made an uncharacteristic error and skidded off. Damon Hill battled hard on the twisty Hungaroring circuit, but he had to settle in the end for second place on the grid. Well, in the big race of the day, Willie Carson on the 5-1 shot Azilfi won the £40,000 Geoffrey Freer Stakes at Newbury. Azilfi led from the start, but he came under a strong challenge in the closing stages from the 4 other runners. Carson managed to hold on, beating the favourite Sonus into third place. And the final SP, first Azilfi at 5-1, second Assessor also at 5-1, and third Sonus, the 11-8 favourite. Well, before the results, just a reminder of some of the big close season transfers. The biggest, of course, wasn't in the Premier League. Duncan Ferguson moving from Dundee United to Rangers for £4 million. In England, there were half a dozen £2 million plus transfers. Aston Villa captured the services of Andy Townsend from Chelsea. Brian Dean stays in Yorkshire, £2.9 million, the cost of the move from Sheffield United to Leeds United. Liverpool splashed out on a brace of £2 million plus players, Nigel Clough from Nottingham Forest and Neil Ruddock from Tottenham. The big money signing in England was Roy Keane, £3.7 million from Forest to Manchester United. And Sheffield Wednesday ended Des Walker's Italian nightmare, paying £2.7 million from Sampdoria. And of course, one player poised to join them on the move is Andy Sinton. Arsenal and Sheffield Wednesday still fighting it out. Arsenal said to have offered £2.7 million, but there are thought to be problems agreeing personal terms. Well, time now for the first time this season for the full classified results with Bob Colston.
Beginning with the FA Carling Premiership. Arsenal 0, Coventry 3. Aston Villa 2, Queen's Park Rangers 1. Chelsea 1, Blackburn 2. Liverpool 2, Sheffield Wednesday 0. That's the latest result. Manchester City 1, Leeds 1. Not on the pools, Newcastle 0, Tottenham 1. That's the latest result. Oldham 0, Ipswich 3. That's the latest result. And latest is Sheffield United 3, Swindon 1. And again, Southampton 0, Everton 2. West Ham 0, Wimbledon 2. Ensley League, Division 1, latest result. Barnsley 1, West Bromwich Albion 1, Charlton 1, Birmingham 0, Crystal Palace 0, Tranmere 0. Not on the pools, Derby 5, Sunderland 2, that's the latest result. Grimsby 0, Bolton 0, latest result. Leicester 2, Peterborough 1, Luton 2, Watford 1, latest score Notts County 2, Middlesbrough 3, Oxford 3, Portsmouth 2, not on the pools, Stoke 1, Millwall 2, and the latest score is Wolves 3, Bristol City 1. Division 2, Barnet 1, Hull 2, that's the latest result. And again, the late result is Bradford 0, Brighton 0. Several late results here. Brentford 1, Exeter 1. Latest Bristol Rovers 0, Bournemouth 0. Burnley 1, Port Vale 1, latest score. Cambridge United 2, Blackpool 1's the latest score. Cardiff 2, Leyton Orient 0. Hartlepool 0, Fulham 1, latest result. Huddersfield 1, Reading 2 is the latest result. Plymouth 2, Stockport 3. Wrexham 1, Rotherham 0, that's the latest score, and the latest is York 1, Swansea 0. Division 3, again some latest scores. Bury 0, Northampton 0, Carlisle 2, Wycombe 1, Chester 0, Doncaster 1. Latest score, Colchester 1, Lincoln 3, Darlington 1, Rochdale 1, Gillingham 0, Chesterfield 2. Latest, Hereford 0, Scarborough 1. Another latest, Mansfield 1, Shrewsbury 0. And another, Preston 0, Crewe 2. Not on the pools, Walsall 1, Torquay 2. And Wigan 0, Scunthorpe 2. Scottish Premier Division, Aberdeen 1, Kilmarnock 0. Celtic 1, Hibernian 1. Dundee 1, Motherwell 2. Hearts 1, Wraith 0. And the latest, Partick 1, Dundee United 2, and St Johnstone 1, Rangers 2. Scottish Division 1, Airdrie 1, Brechin 0, Ayr 2, Stirling 1, Dumbarton 3, Clyde 0, Dunfermline 0, Clydebank 2, Hamilton 0, St Mirren 0, and the latest, Morton 1, Falkirk 4. Division 2, Alloa 0, Cowdenbeath 1 is the latest, East Fife 3, Stenhousemuir 0, East Stirling 2, Berwick 1, Forfar 3, Albion 0, latest score is Meadowbank 1, Stranraer 3, Montrose 0, Arbroath 0, and finally Queen of the South 5, Queen's Park 2.
Thank you, Bob. Plenty of results still to be confirmed then. So let's have a look at the pools news now, what there is so far. And 2 jackpot draws confirmed, 34 and 41. No high-score draws and 3 no-score draws, matches 12, 13 and 50. But as I said, still plenty of results yet to be confirmed, so we can't advise you on claims at the moment. 2 jackpot draws at 1-all, matches 34 and 41. 3 no-score draws, 12, 13 and 50. And I'm afraid 26 results yet to be confirmed. At the moment, there is no decision yet as to whether or not you'll need to make a claim on this opening day of the new season. That's all the sport for me for now.
Thank you very much indeed, David. And that's it from us for now. We'll be back with more at 25 to 10. Until then, from David and me, goodbye.
Goodbye.
Hello, well, it was a bright and dry day in the southeast while rather unsettled in the northwest. That's all going to change tomorrow with the north becoming brighter. But first a look at tonight, becoming drier in the north and west, as you can see here. Dry in the southeast too, but in between that, outbreaks of light rain through central and southwestern parts. Mist and fog is going to become a problem here and there tonight, and quite humid in the south too. Now, tomorrow morning, that mist and fog will clear, leaving a cloudy day over the south. Scattered showers gradually developing, and one or two of those could become rather heavy in the afternoon. The north of the country, a better day in the offing, with broken cloud and sunny spells, just a chance of a light shower. Temperatures only around 16 or 17 at best, though, and warm and humid again in the south. Good evening.
Animal rights protesters march on a Suffolk lab. And on the first day of the football season, Cambridge win at home. Good afternoon, sport in a moment. First the news. 100 members of an animal rights groups from across East Anglia have held a protest march and rally at a Suffolk laboratory complex to protest against the use of animals in experiments. The newly formed East Anglian Campaign for Ethical Research protested outside the premises of Pharmaco LSR at Ockhold near Eye. It's one of the biggest labs of its kind in Europe. Campaigners from Norfolk, Suffolk and Cambridgeshire are expected to join the event, which is aimed at pressing research companies to spend more on finding ways of testing and experimenting without using animals. An elderly woman's died and her granddaughter has been seriously injured in a road accident at Clacton. Both are believed to have been crossing the London Road when the accident happened at about 12:15. The 5-year-old girl, who has multiple injuries, is in a serious condition. A 7-year-old boy who drowned at a swimming pool at a holiday park in Hunstanton in West Norfolk yesterday has been named as Michael Oliver from Brackley in Northamptonshire.
The boy was pulled from the pool at Searles Holiday Park but died later in the Queen Elizabeth Hospital at King's Lynn. Police and environmental health officers have begun an investigation into the tragedy. Later, 6 people were hurt at the site when a gas bottle exploded. Norfolk Police said it was believed the fire started while a gas cylinder was being changed, resulting in a fireball. The 6 people who received burns came from the Lowestoft area. They were also taken to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital but were released after treatment.
15 trees grown by a schoolgirl at Tharston in South Norfolk have been ordered to be pulled up by Norfolk County Council.
The trees were hand-reared from conkers and acorns by Claire Millington, who helped the village conservation group plant them in February. But the council say they must come up because they were planted without an official licence. Villagers say they were acting to improve the environment and would fight to keep them. The parish council said it had refused to sign the licence because the conservation group had not gone through what they call the correct channels. The county council spokesman said there had to be some sort of control on planting trees on verges.
A former chairman of Essex County Council has been made a live peer in a list announced by Prime Minister John Major. Conservative Bill Dixon-Smith represented Braintree East but lost his seat in the May elections. He'll now take his place in the House of Lords. An Essex hotel owner is being forced to replace windows at an historic building after losing a long-running planning row with the local council. Council officials noticed the UPVC windows at the Pier Hotel in Harwich 7 years after they'd been installed, and because it's a listed building, insisted that the original style of windows should be restored. Owner Gerald Milsom appealed, but the Department of the Environment has now ruled in favour of tendering council. The hotelier says putting old-style sash windows back will cost him £20,000. Carnivals have been drawing the crowds around the region this afternoon. In Suffolk, the 18th Ipswich Carnival was marked with a parade through the pedestrianised town centre, with the convoy of decorated floats making their way through the Christchurch Park. The theme of this year's festival procession is Alice and Europe, commemorating the industrial and economic links forged between Ipswich and the French town earlier this year. There's a firework display tonight and a host of local charities are expected to benefit from the event. In Essex, the Southend Carnival has been underway, one of the highlights of a week of activities. The procession took 2 hours to make its way through the town. Many of the floats were created on traditional themes, but others reflected the latest crazes, including the inevitable dinosaurs. Local charities to benefit from this year's fundraising will be the town's homeless centre and the hospital scanner appeal. And finally, a 3-year-old Vietnamese pot-bellied boar is recovering from a mammoth hangover after eating sugar beet, which fermented into alcohol in his stomach, sending him into a 2-day stupor. The drunken pig called Winston keeled over in his paddock at Bayton in Suffolk, and his anxious owners called the vet, who diagnosed what had happened. Winston is now recovering from his overindulgence on a diet without sugar beet. Well, the football season's underway with news of the day's sporting action. Here's Richard Henwood.
Yes, thank you. The 1993-94 football season is underway with wins for Ipswich, Luton, Cambridge and Colchester, but Peterborough have been beaten on the opening day. We start our roundup with Ipswich in the Premiership. They started at Oldham today.
Oldham Athletic 0, Ipswich Town 3. Debut goals for record signing Ian Marshall, £400,000 midfielder Paul Mason, plus a rare strike by Steve Palmer give Town an easy-looking victory. But they had to scrap for most of the first half for midfield possession. Marshall's opening goal was decidedly against the run of play, well taken nonetheless, as was Palmer's, hooked in with the right foot. Town played well on the break, and Kiwami's speed up front set up Mason for the third goal. Sharp hit the post for Oldham. Town, they'd never won at Boundary Park in the league before today. They have now 3-0.
And there's confirmation of that result. A great start to the season for Ipswich, both new boys on target. In Division 1, Peterborough faced a short trip to Leicester for their first match of the season, but a terrible start for Posh, who were 2 down after just 15 minutes. The goals from Ian Thompson's penalty and Tony James. Gary Cooper pulled one back from the penalty spot after half an hour, but it wasn't enough. Luton had home advantage against Watford, and they made it pay with a 2-1 victory. A frantic start at Kenilworth Road, and there were near misses at both ends, Watford going close there. But controversy after 37 minutes as Watford were reduced to 10 men. Barry Ashby sent off for a foul on David Preece. And just before the break, Kerry Dixon went close to giving Luton the lead. His chip turned over by goalkeeper Shepherd. So goalless at half-time. But in the end, Luton won 2-1. Paul Telfer and Kerry Dixon got the goals for Luton. Watford also had Jason Drysdale sent off in the second half. It was a whole new ball game for Cambridge, relegated to Division 2 and playing Blackpool for the first time ever in the league. But they got off to a winning start. There have been a few changes at Cambridge in the close season, including Gary Johnson back in the manager's chair. And he saw his side go ahead after 27 minutes, the goal scorer Mick Heathcote. And Cambridge made it 2-0 after a fine run and shot from Steve Claridge was only parried by the goalkeeper. Michael Danzy was on hand to tap in from close range. But Blackpool pulled one back before half-time from the penalty spot, Brian Griffith the scorer. So 2-1 to Cambridge at half-time. It ended 3-2 to Cambridge, Steve Butler scoring their third. Into Division 3 now, where Colchester are hoping to improve on 10th place last season. A good start, beating Lincoln 1-0 today with a goal from Mark Kinsella. A late kick-off for Northampton at Bury. Northampton caught up in traffic. They started 10 minutes late, but a quiet match. Goalless is the final result. 2 of the region's clubs play tomorrow, of course. Norwich are at home against champions Manchester United, and there's another good-looking match in Division 1, Southend against Nottingham Forest. You can see that live on Anglia tomorrow afternoon. The programme starts at 2:30. On to cricket now, and Essex have been playing Australia at Chelmsford today. A 3-day match. The Australians won the toss and are batting. Centuries for Matthew Hayden and Mark Waugh, and Australia are currently on 291 for 4. Northants are still in with an outside chance of winning the county championship, and they're in a strong position against Durham at the county ground. It's day 3, and Northampton have built up a first innings lead of 137. Northants resumed this morning on 226 for 3, already 16 ahead of Durham. And Alan Lamb and Mal Lloyd quickly set about building on that advantage. Lloyd took the leading role in a stand which put on 168 in 47 overs. But the stand was broken with the score on 262, when Durham captain David Graveney had Lamb caught by Graham Fowler at backward square leg for 70. And the very next ball, Graveney struck again, this time Lloyd caught by Wayne Larkins for 80. After that, Kevin Curran decided to go for quick runs, hitting this 4 off Graveney. But the bowler quickly took his revenge. A false stroke from Curran caught at mid-on by Simon Brown, which left Northants at 266 for 6. Northants eventually all out for 347, and the latest we have, Durham in their second innings at 29 for 3, still 108 behind. And finally tonight, a glimpse of what's in store on the water without skis at Lakeside Thurrock in Essex tomorrow. It's the European Grand Prix with British barefoot skiers chasing gold medals in the Junior Championship and the Masters. And Essex girl Lucy Scopes is already the British ladies champion at only 12 years old and in the team for the World Championships next year. Brother and sister Carl and Rachel Safang from Chelmsford, 16 and 14 years old, are also in the British junior team. And brothers Ben and Luke Goggin from St Osyth near Clacton line up in the Masters event. The main threat is expected to come from South Africa and Belgium, who defeated Britain in the last European event held in France. I'll be back in Anglia News on Sunday with action from all the region's football clubs, but for now, it's good night.
Anglia weather in association with Legal & General.
Good evening. It's certainly been a fine day across the region today. Plenty of sunshine, nice and warm inland. A bit of a breeze around the coast at times, but still very pleasant. And as you can see on this satellite picture, quite bright weather on this eastern side of the country. A lot of cloudy, unsettled weather further to the north and west. Down over the near continent, relatively near continent anyway, this darker cloud suggests a region of thundery and quite unsettled weather. And there could well be further thundery showers moving slowly towards us. But at the moment, and so far today, most of the activity has just moved away across the near continent rather than coming over the southeastern corner of England. There have been, with all these clear skies over this part of the chart and down through the Mediterranean, there have been some very high temperatures indeed this afternoon. 38 degrees Celsius along the coast of North Africa. That's with a wind blowing from the inland desert rather than a coastal onshore breeze. A little bit lower if the wind's blowing onshore, about 30 degrees Celsius. Elsewhere in Europe, pretty reasonable temperatures, the middle 20s, even the middle 20s closer to home. I think some parts of our region may well have had 24 Celsius, that's 75 Fahrenheit. Somewhat cooler weather further to the north and west, but that's not coming our way just yet. But certainly some of the cloud will do, and a close-up look of this chart shows that it's unsettled. We've got small lows, we've got a waving front, as we call it in the trade, and this may well edge in slowly towards us, and together with this small but potentially thundery low moving northeastwards, the whole thing is set to become rather more unsettled by the latter part of the weekend, that's to say tomorrow, with a greater risk of showers, I think, than we've seen today. It's still possible that one or two of these dark patches of cloud could drift up across the region later this evening and overnight. But the forecast chart for midday tomorrow shows us left with what's really a trough, an area where showers are more likely to form tomorrow. It's what happens to those lows as they gradually fill and become less noticeable features. So a showery, unsettled day, but some places undoubtedly may well escape all of the showers. For this evening, just one or two showers are possible, and I think more especially in the latter part of the evening, drifting up from the southwest. But most places staying dry tonight, and with the cloud fairly thin for much of the time, it's going to turn misty as well. And by tomorrow morning, I think some fairly thick mist patches around just for a brief period. It's always possible the odd shower could still affect some of the more southeastern parts of the region, but most places dry. Rather a warm night, really, 11 or 12 Celsius. That's the low 50s Fahrenheit. Tomorrow's weather, a mixture of sunshine and showers, I think, for most of us. Once the mist has gone, not a bad day. Temperatures, because of the increase in cloud, not quite as high as today's, but still, when the hazy sunshine's there, it'll seem quite pleasant. There is a chance of some heavy thundery showers developing by the afternoon, though, as temperatures pick up. The temperatures, incidentally, getting into the low 20s Celsius. 22 is 72 degrees Fahrenheit. The outlook, another showery day on Monday.
We need a break from the old routine.
What do you mean we need a break from the old routine?
We need a break from the old routine.
What do you mean we need a break from the old routine?
Oh yeah, you know what I mean.
What do you mean we need a break from the old routine?
We need a break from the old routine.
What do you mean we need a break from the old routine?
Give me a little break from the old routine.
The new season on Anglia brings big stars in blockbuster films, epic drama, adventure, romance to melt your heart and drive you mad. The new season of films on Anglia. Take a break from the old routine.
I need a break from the old routine.
Beadle plays a prank on an innocent off-licence keeper who gets a phone call from the Queen. Or is it Her Majesty? Find out at 6:30. First, the waters of Malibu.